Good afternoon and welcome to Hot Issues. In 45 days, Ghana's democracy will be put to the test again. For the NPP in particular, this means a lot to them. Having lost the election in 2008 and in 2012, the NPP believes that this is a must-win election. They believe that 2016 elections is theirs and is an election they must win. Of course, in 2013, the NPP went to court in the famous election petition. But as we get into election 2016, is the NPP prepared to win these elections? What has been their preparation so far? Are they comfortable with the reforms instituted by the Electoral Commission? Welcome to Hot Issues. Thank you very much for staying with us. And my guest this afternoon is one man who knows the NPP inside out. He was chairman of the NPP in the Western region, then became national chairman of the NPP for the 2008 general elections. He's currently the NPP's representative on IPAC and the party's campaign manager. He's no other but Mr. Peter Manu. Thank you very much for joining us. And I hope you're doing very well.
Very well, thank you, Mr. Amoa. I'm good, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Good. So I believe that you've been monitoring the electoral process so far as a party. Are you okay with the electoral process that we're going through?
Well, thank you. I keep saying that democracy, elections, and electoral processes is a journey. A journey that some countries began some 250, 70 years ago in UK, and over 200 years in the United States. But even there, every now and then, they have continued to make changes and reforms to their electoral processes and to their democracy. In far back as 1872, the United Kingdom passed the Secret Voters Act. Before then, they were voting in public. And all manner of hooliganism pertained to their elections. Then the Secret Voters Act came into being. But since 1872 to date, a lot of changes have gone on. The most recent one is the demarcation or dwindling of the sizes of the constituencies, which has been effected but will take actual effect. It has been effected in the law, but practically it will take effect in 2020. Okay. So Ghana needs to understand that democracy and elections is a journey, and that every now and then there are bound to be changes because of the dynamics.
Okay, so let's look at our journey. So far, are you comfortable with the changes that have been effected?
From 1992 to date, there have been a lot of changes, and I am saying that we had the opportunity as a party to submit our reforms after the 29th August ruling by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court directed that the Electoral Commission should undertake key reforms in our electoral system, and we were invited by the then Commissioner, Dr. Kwadwo Afarajan, to bring our input, which we did. Apart from that, the Ghana Political Parties Program, GPP, under the aegis of the IEA, also sat down and did some reforms, which I also took part, and which was also submitted to the Electoral Commission. So later, the Electoral Commission formed what we call Electoral Reforms Committee to look at the various stakeholders who have submitted reforms, political parties, civil society groups, and individuals. And then these were summarized into key electoral reforms, which were brought to IPAC, discussed. Some were accepted by the Electoral Commission, some were not accepted. Some of them were legal, had legal and constitutional underpinnings. So it had to go to Parliament for the necessary legal and constitutional reforms to be made. Others were just administrative in nature, and that one, the EC was bound to do it in-house. But all in all, I think we've moved forward, because if you consider that immediately after the 29th August ruling, the ratings of Ghana's Electoral Commission, according to a research by Center for Democratic Development, CDD, saw the confidence level of Ghanaians in our Electoral Commission nosedive from 75% to 47%. But the latest one they did about 2 weeks ago or so has moved up to 60-something percent.
65%.
Yes. So it means gradually there is being an upsurge, an increase, which is commendable. Okay. But it also tells you that we were from 75 and we came to 47 and it's now rising. So there's still room for improvement.
Yes, but as a party NPP, not long ago, you had some concerns with the electronic transmission of results. The Electoral Commission came out to say, well, none of the entities that were bidding met the criteria. Following that, what is the current state? How would results be transmitted? Have you sought clarity about that?
Well, I took part on behalf of the New Patriotic Party at an IPAC meeting where the Electoral Commission announced that the tender process has been truncated because none of the two shortlisted companies met the technical, financial, and other obligations. Then we wanted to find out from the commission if the electronic one is truncated, how are the results going to be announced or declared?
Okay.
They told us they will get back to us and that they were going to revert to the existing system.
Have they gotten back to you?
They haven't. There's supposed to be an IPAC meeting in the next few days. All right. But I read from one of the news portals that the Greater Accra Regional Director of the Electoral Commission has announced. And that is a constitutional, is in the Constitution, that election results are to be declared at the polling station. So that one, nobody can change it because it's in the Constitution, unless there's a constitutional amendment. Then they will all be consolidated or collated at the Constituency Collation Center. Fine. For the parliamentary elections, the returning officer of the constituency declares the final results for the parliamentary. But for the presidential, the electoral commissioner, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, is the returning officer. So he will need to get all the results from the 29,000 polling stations before he can declare. So if the results are declared at the constituency center, at the constituency collation center, by what mode are they going to be sent to Mrs. Charlotte Osei? We need to know. I think we started this discussion with a journey.
Yeah.
So the journey of facts is no more.
So
what
would you want done this time around?
Well, I think that when the results are declared at the polling station, the CI 94, the Constitutional Instrument 94, which is going to govern our election, says a copy of the statement of poll and the results should be posted at the polling station. Number two, all the results from the various polling stations in the constituency are brought to the Constituency Collation Center. So all the results are aggregated and then that one too is posted at the Constituency Collation Center. Fine. But how would that results be transmitted or sent to the national level?
What does the CI say?
The CI is silent on that.
The CI is silent on that?
Yes, it's silent on that.
So then, have you found out from the Electoral Commission how that will be done?
I have. That's what I'm saying, that I have. And we were told that they will get back to us. So I'm expecting that at our next IPAC, it will be tabled for discussion. But you see, these are matters that we need to know. I think that for any Electoral Commission to be effective and efficient, there are certain key values. Value of openness and transparency, value of inclusiveness. You don't go and hide somebody in one room and close another person's eyes at the back. Everybody must be inclusive and know what's happening.
When you say hide one person in one room and close another person's at the back, are you insinuating that Electoral Commission
but it can happen.
Selectivity?
It can happen, yes. That's what I mean.
It can happen or
yes,
it's happening?
It can happen.
Is it happening?
That's why I'm saying that it's a value that they must stick to.
But
let me finish. Don't take me out of the values, because they are very critical.
Yes, you finish.
The third one is value of accuracy. You see, Electoral Commission deals with figures of number of registered voters, figures of number of ballot papers, and figures of voter turnout, figures of aggregating the results. There are errors like they talk about transposition errors, etc. But in all this, you must be accurate because you are dealing with figures. I'm also in a country like Ghana where the difference between the winner and the loser are not so huge. So Electoral Commission should be accurate. Then they have to show professionalism. Electoral Commission business is a public service job, and no wonder that they are paid from the consolidated fund. And anyone expects that when you are doing a public service job, professionalism is critical. So we expect them to be that. Then they must be impartial. And what many Ghanaians know, including me and you, is independent. Independent cannot take away openness and transparency. It cannot take away inclusiveness. It cannot take away impartiality. It cannot take away accuracy. And it cannot take away professionalism. So though independence is what is situated in the Constitution, for the Electoral Commission should be independent, and that's the mantra everybody has been singing. I think the other values that I have just enumerated are critical. And I'm happy that last week, when the commissioner herself met the European Union delegation of observers, he mentioned some of these critical values that Electoral Commission are supposed to exhibit.
Okay, so let's look at a bit of openness and inclusiveness. You see, the Electoral Commission shouldn't be talking to one person and keeping another person in the dark. And I just want to find out whether you believe that the Electoral Commission in its dealings is being unfair to any party.
You see, when we talk about Electoral Commission, don't just stick your mind only to the Electoral Commission at Rich. The Electoral Commission at Draboso is part of the commission. The Electoral Commission at Prestia Honey Valley is part of the commission. So if I go to Prestia Honey Valley and I'm not getting what I'm asking for, meanwhile he is meeting some other group of people behind, it affects the entire commission.
Have you been to anywhere where you're not
getting
it?
Of course. In the previous elections. In the previous election? In 2012, yes. I went to Prestia Honey Valley. The law says at that time that 10 days to election, you must post copies of all temporary officers, that is presiding officers, balloting officer, verification machine officer, on a notice board, so that any person, any citizen can object to any name and with stated reasons. It's in the law. So I took time to go to every single district office of the Electoral Commission in Western Region to ensure whether they indeed have been posted as stated in the law. And lo and behold, when I got to Prestia Honey Valley, it wasn't there. So if he wasn't there and he has shown it to another people, and I told him, because I knew that that's what he has done.
You knew?
Yes.
He has shown it to another people?
Yes.
And in this case, the NDC?
Well, I won't mention that, but I know he has shown it to other people. So he was not in the office when I got there. I spoke to him on the phone. And he said, well, the list is not ready. And so when a law says that 10 days to election, you must post the names on a public displayed board, you are telling me the list is not ready.
But 4 years down the line, do you still have these
Well, you are asking for a sign.
Yes, I asked for that evidence. You have provided 2012, but I'm saying 4 years down the line.
So I'm saying
it's 2016. Well, do you still suspect these
when
things?
we get there, when the time which will come up very soon, I'll go back again. And this time even the law is changed to include pictures. In 2012, the law did not include pictures. So you can have Moses Amwa, but there are 2,000 Moses Amwas. But now the law says add a photograph. So the law has changed, and I'll go back when the time, which is the same, I think now is 14 days to election. They have to do that.
Do you have confidence in the Electoral Commission?
I do. Why not? It's a state institution. It's a public institution. They are run by professionals, and I think
you trust them to run a credible election?
Why not? If they go by their stated values, why not?
If they go by the stated values?
Of course. They have values they have to play with, and they have.
Do you see them going by those values?
Yes, that's why the confidence level is rising. But like I said, there's still room for improvement.
Do you see them as an independent body?
Independent?
Yes. Do you think the Electoral Commission is independent?
Oh, of course.
Then you trust them to run a credible election, then. You don't have a challenge.
I'm saying that the confidence level went down in 2013 after the Supreme Court ruling. Between 2013 and today, 2016, a lot has happened.
Yes, that you've told us, but I was just trying to find out, I just wanted to find out your own opinion. And you say that you have confidence within the system.
Of course.
You believe that they're going to run a credible election.
Yes.
And
I have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
You're giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Of course, that they can run credible elections. Yes.
That's more of a,
That's what?
more of a bit of doubt in there. You're giving them the benefit to run a credible election.
Of course, I want them to run a credible election.
You want them to.
I want them.
It's not as if they will.
I want them to run a credible election.
But do you believe they will run a credible election?
Why not? What do they gain? From my standpoint, what would they gain? I mean, there are all kinds of rumors flying around. I don't want to believe it. I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
What rumors are flying around that you don't want to believe?
A lot of rumors. I mean, these days with this social media, a lot of things are happening. 700,000 people are being transferred on proxy votes. So that's why the value of openness and transparency is critical. That's why the value of inclusiveness is critical. That is why the value of professionalism is critical. That's why the value of impartiality is critical.
Good, but ever since Madam Charlotte Osei took office, and in this case, I just want us to zero it on her. Ever since she took office, has she been open? Has she been inclusive enough?
Well, otherwise, the confidence level will not have started to go up from 47% or so to the current 64%.
So she's done a good job ever since she took
He's
office.
doing. I'm not saying he hasn't finished the job. Why are you concluding on a job that is in process? It's a work in progress. The work is in progress. It's progressive.
So she's doing a good job.
She's doing a good job. She's doing a good job. And I want her to be independent, impartial, inclusive, open and transparent, accurate. These are the things that will make the election successful. Yep.
What other things would you want the Electoral Commission to do as a party that you're not doing so far?
Well, recently I wrote to the Electoral Commission that the biometric verification device has an SD card inserted which contains the data of prospective voters. Like you have a SIM card on your phone. Now, what the Electoral Commission of Ghana is doing is that if you have a constituency like Takrady constituency with 67 polling stations, the SD card for the various polling stations contains the same data. So I wrote to them that gives room for fraud, because my data at polling station A is still on polling station C. So if I vote and finish at polling station A and I collude with the presiding officer or whoever at polling station C, then my data will still pop up and I can go through. So I wrote to them that there's a need to make it polling station specific instead of constituency wide. They told me they will refer it to their technical department for advice, and they got back to me that the technical people says, given the constraints of time, it's not feasible. But I think that the technical people are not doing well enough, because I have been to countries like Nigeria, which has 120,000 polling stations, and every polling station data is specific. Yes. So it all boils down to also the question of planning. I mean, an electoral commission like ours has 4 years to plan for the next election. So you have to put things in place. You don't just rush to last minute. You see, one critical thing, and I think Charlotte will be doing well in that regard, is forward-looking and planning in the commission. Because election running is a complex job, I tell you. Many people see it like that. It's quite a complex job. Look at today. The Electoral Commission is in court over nominations. They went to court over fees that were charged to presidential aspirants. But go to www.iebc.org.ke That's the Electoral Commission of Kenya's website. Kenya's election is scheduled for 17th August 2017. But the fees they will charge for governor, presidential, parliamentary are there. Why do you have to wait in Ghana for 3 months to election before you bring these facts?
Okay.
It's planning.
Good, it's planning. We'll definitely get back to that issue. Now that you've raised the issue about the court, my guest this afternoon on Hot Issues is Mr. Peter McMenu, campaign manager of the NPP. I am Winston, and when we go for a short break, when we return, he's raised the issue about the EC being in court. Maybe we'll touch on that briefly, and then we move to the NPP. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break, and thanks for staying with us. This is Hot Issues with me, Winston Amwen. My guest this afternoon is Mr. Peter McMenu, who is campaign manager of the NPP. So, Mr. McMenu, you're talking about, the EC being in court. Since you raised that bid, yes, the EC has been in court. There are many political parties that are challenging the EC, and there are others, for instance, the PPP that says your party shouldn't have been in the list of parties that was actually, cleared to contest the election. They say based on the fact that your presidential candidate didn't submit his asset declaration form, that should have been enough grounds for disqualification.
I think PPP was joking. They were joking because they were not in the room when we submitted.
They meant it. They say you shouldn't have been there.
As I'm saying that they are joking, I don't expect them to join the bandwagon of jokers in this country. They are a serious political party, and they must act as such. So I don't expect them to join the bandwagon of jokers. So as far as we are concerned, we've met the requirements, and our name will be on the ballot. Finito. Yep.
But, the case going to court, yes, I know it's in court, so I don't want us to deal with it, but you are somebody who knows the electoral process. Based on what you know, and based on how the NPP filled its form, do you think that the Electoral Commission was unfair to these political parties?
Well, I think, as you rightly said, the matter is in court, but we issued a statement on it. Our chairman for Legal and Constitutional Affairs, Professor Kwe, together with the committee and the party, issued a statement on it. And the statement sought to make our stand that we sympathize with those who have been deselected. In the same vein, we also sympathize with the EC. But I think personally that we have complained, particularly during IPAC, about inclusion of certain political parties at various IPAC fora. Because under Act 284, political parties Act, there are criteria.
Act 574.
Is it 574?
Yeah, Political Parties Act 574, yeah.
Criteria for which the EC is supposed to oversee various political parties in this country. One, they must have offices in 2/3 of the districts. And the Constitution itself, the Supreme Court of the land, says that the internal organization of political parties must conform to internal democracy. So if a political party is there and for so many years it hasn't even done any conference or congress to elect its leaders, then its internal organization does not conform to the democracy. So these are things that we had expected the EC to be looking at, so that those who do not qualify are delisted. But lo and behold, the EC organizes a forum on voters register for political parties. Then parties that are moribund for years are resurrected because they are coming to castigate NPP. I told them.
How do you know they were brought in because they're coming to castigate?
Oh, but they were. Where are they? They have not been filing any returns. They have not been organizing any congresses.
Others have questioned the NPP whether you've filed your account.
We have.
When did you file it?
Oh, we have filed. I'm telling you on authority that we have filed.
Because the deadline, the Electoral Commission.
We have filed.
Hold on. But
we sought permission.
You sought permission with the Electoral
Commission. But we have filed.
Good.
We
yes.
have filed. We have filed. We have filed. So parties that are moribund were resurrected because they were coming to that forum to castigate NPP.
But how do you know they were resurrected because they're coming to castigate?
Everybody in this country knows that they are dead.
No, that they came to castigate the
NPP. Of course!
Doesn't mean that they were brought in there to castigate you.
Madam Akwadonko herself went there and said, as for her, she is not in favor of a new register. her own party chairman also had something to say that he favors a new register. I mean, what kind of forum? I mean, is it a serious-minded forum?
So for you as an MPP, I mean, beyond
so the
sympathy,
opportunity
yes,
for EC to have done this, that's why I'm saying the whole thing is a cycle. And you don't wait till this last hour.
Beyond the sympathy, this process has actually taken some parties which shouldn't have been there from, you know, the country's electoral space. Is that what you're saying? I mean,
I'm saying that parties must meet our contractual obligations through the act, through the constitution, what they say. Having met that, then we should be allowed to function. All right? But if we don't meet it, then you shouldn't wait. What I'm saying is that there was, and it starts with what I have said about the electoral cycle.
Yes, but
you know,
what I want to find out is that this particular process has actually gotten rid of some parties which, by, you know, the Political Parties Act in itself, shouldn't have existed. Is that what you're saying?
Some, not all.
Yes, some of them
Some, yes.
should have been off it.
Some.
So as much as you sympathize with them, there are others that probably shouldn't have been here.
Of course. I sympathize with some of them, but not all. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So let's get to the NPP. How's the campaign going?
The campaign is moving on fine. Our flag bearer, as I speak with you, is in Kumasi. Our vice presidential candidate is in the north. And the overwhelming enthusiasm, response from the voters at everywhere we have been. I have said last week in Takrady that Nana Akufo-Addo is poised to become the next president of Ghana.
How sure are you?
Oh, I know. I know, you know, the voters are discerning. They know where NDC took us from in 2009, where we were in terms of health issues, in terms of corruption, in terms of education, in terms of management of the economy, that is inflation, exchange rate, price rises, etc. And where we are now, agriculture, fishing, the whole 8 years, we haven't gone anywhere. We rather retrogressing. And I think the voters will have to punish the NDC for that. And the responses we have received so far points to that direction.
You expressed same optimism in 2008. Your party didn't win.
Every election is different from each other. Every election is unique. The circumstances and environment of 2008 and 2012 are different from 2016. The economic environment, the political environment, the electoral environment is all different. So don't equate 2016 elections to 2012 or 2008. They are two different scenarios.
Is that not a more reason why predicting it becomes difficult?
Oh, that even makes it predicting easier. And believe me, there have been a lot of polls going around. Only 2 days ago or so, the EIU came up that for the third time, they're saying MPP and Nana Akufo-Addo is going to win the election.
You believe that the polls?
Very well, but we see we are not going to.
In 2012, your general secretary had issues with it. He described it as bogus.
We are not going to go to sleep because of the polls. It rather strengthens us to work hard, and we are working hard. I've told you not to equate 2016 with 2012, so please don't go there.
No, but
the circumstances and environment we are operating now is different. So why are you going back?
No, but Mr. McMenu, the same polls.
I'm saying still it's different.
Yes, I know it's different, but I'm saying the same polls in 2012 when it predicted the NDC
saying
your party general secretary at the time said it was bogus and he had lost touch.
You see the word you have used at the time. And I'm telling you, we are in 2016. Why are you going back to 20?
So now you believe it?
I believe it. And I'm saying we are working, it's strengthening us to work hard. Okay? Yes.
The NDC says you are to be blamed for all the problems we're going through. They said, I mean, in the period of 8 years that you were in office, you didn't do much. If you had done much, you probably would have been at a better place by now. And they have also said that if you look at the growth rate you're talking about, on the average, they've done better than you have. So why should they be, voted out and you brought in?
I think Ghanaians are no more going to take the word propaganda and untruths and have big truths from the NDC anymore. They have seen them and have known the kind of people they are. The days when they will say President Kufuor has taken all the gold from Ghana and shipped them to wherever, it's no more. I recall that there were a sheet of paper with names of prominent MPP personalities and their bank accounts. Fake. I myself, I think I had about $30 million or so in front of me. I mean, where?
Did you have it?
They, I wouldn't be sitting here. And they claim the monies were lodged at Prudential Bank. And if you look at the entire Prudential Bank, their assets and their total cash deposits, it will not even be quarter of the monies that they put behind this. And they were going around brandishing it. So people have seen them. And nobody is going to take those lies on again. We know that propaganda is their cup of tea. I mean, that's what I'm saying, that this election is a referendum on the NDC from 2009 that they took over to where they have brought us. People will come and say they have built so many schools. When you go to the ground and check, it's not true. The people will...
Which school did you go to check that wasn't true?
Oh, a lot of them. Laura, a lot.
You've only mentioned one.
I'm saying a lot. I'm not in a position, but I have them.
Okay.
I have them. I mean, everybody knows. It's all over the Facebook with weeds. Then it's captured as a school. There's even one scenario in Sunyani I just laughed off. President Mills commissioned that school in 2011. Then the plug is removed and a new one is put there for President Mahama. Why are you doing this to Ghanaians? Why? And you want us to give you our power. They should not forget that power belongs to the good people of Ghana.
That was on
They
social media.
entrust it to you for a period of time. Then you come and account for the work you have done before they...
But that particular school you're talking about in Sunyani, now, have you seen it? Because, yes, it's come on social media. But somebody would say, what happens on social media? Anybody at all?
I have called.
Yes.
And it has been confirmed to me. Okay? I have called. It has been confirmed to me. So it's not a social media prank.
People have questioned your party. They say it's divided, and a party that is divided against itself is not one that can govern this country.
Do you think the MPP, as it stands now, is divided?
You should be telling me.
It's not true. It's not true. Absolutely not true. It's not true. Go and look at the various constituencies. Go and look at the national headquarters. Go and look at the regional offices. Go and look at the various campaign teams. They are working in unison, in unity, to bring the needed change for Ghana to come back to its socio-economic glory of the past. So if it's the NDC mantra, solve the problems of the country, say somebody's party is divided. They themselves, their political party, National Democratic Congress, do you know the amount of cracks that are in it? Even in their latest manifesto launch, the whole President Rawlings, the founder himself, was not there. How do you describe that?
Tell me how you would describe
Mrs.
that.
Rawlings, who was the first vice chairperson of the party, where is he? He's now in the NDP.
They say they don't have first or second vice chairman. They're all vice chairman.
Okay, vice chairman. He's now has his own party. Has anybody left NPP to form a new party? Tell me. So between us and them, whose party then is divided?
Mr. Palafoku says he's not joining the campaign.
Oh, maybe you have to put that question to Paul.
No, he says, I mean, you are asking about anybody, but he says he's not joining your campaign.
I don't know about that.
I've read a statement from his spokesperson, Anayo Asare, who stated categorically, and I even spoke with him.
I don't want you to bring this discussion.
No, because you raised a bit about anybody, but he says he wouldn't be part of the NPP.
Fine,
campaign.
He's entitled to that.
So that's one person in your party
Yes,
saying he wouldn't be
and
part.
you know how many persons? The founder is Paul Afoko, the founder of NPP. The founder of NDC was absent. The founder himself is absent. The founder's wife, who was one of the first vice chairperson, has broken away, found her own party. That is serious. Serious in that. Only last week, some of their constituency chairmen and communication officers have all defected. You call this party? Okay, we live to see. We live to see.
No, but what's wrong if Mr. Rawlings doesn't go for an NDC campaign launch? He was, he didn't go for the manifesto launch, but he was at the campaign launch.
There's something absolutely
What is wrong with it?
Because the party in elections, manifesto is a key thing. You are selling your vision of what you intend to do. So that's a critical moment in the life of a party during election, particularly 3 months or so to elections. It's very important. Manifesto launch is critical.
The General Secretary believes that Mr. Rawlings is aging, and so at this point in time, he should be allowed to rest.
But well, that's his view. But Ghanaians are discerning enough to be able to read between the lines.
You seem to have a lot of trust in Ghanaians this time around, that they're going to give your party the mandate.
Oh yes, I have a trust in Ghanaians. I do. And I think I have no doubt that Ghanaians are going to give the nod to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Inshallah.
But looking at your manifesto, yes, you christened it a manifesto of solutions, right? You said this was a manifesto that was going to solve the problem that the country was going through. But already there are many who have said, well, I mean, most of the promises you're making are ambitious and can't be achieved. What does the NPP make of the criticism of its manifesto?
I think we have given this country a very, very good document in the form of the manifesto in all areas of our socio-economic life. Education, health, industry, joblessness, which is key, security, in all these scenarios, governance and democracy aspects of our lives have been taken care of. But you see, the thing is, where we are now, we have nosedive, so there's the need to bring it up. I don't want this election to be focused on MPP's manifesto, but to be focused on what NDC has done over the last 8 years.
But people must also judge what you intend to do.
Fine. So we should look at what they have done and then look at our solutions to where they have brought us to. So I don't want you to look at it in isolation. That's what I'm saying. You see, the election is one, a referendum on the sitting government, the NDC. Then two, having accepted that things have gone bad, what is your solution? And that's what the NPP manifesto seeks to do. But you cannot take out the mismanagement component of the NDC and just bring in MPP as what is your solution. No, they have mismanaged the country. The country has been run down. Our agriculture, our fishing, our education, corruption. So there is the need for us as a party that is coming to organize and bring things back to life.
But let's look at the issues that you've raised. The NDC says, and the president argues same, because we are running a transparent government, issues that are happening in our government, yes, we brought out, and so naturally the perception is that we're corrupt. They say they're not like you, where the president said he wouldn't do anything to hurt his government. So they are prosecuting people, and based on that, Ghanaians see them as corrupt, and then you have something to say.
They are prosecuting people.
Yes.
You telling me? They are
Abu Gapele is in court.
Abu Gapele is in court. Yes. How long is it that we also prosecuted people and sent them to jail? So what's the difference? We prosecuted
Which of your
Malam Isa.
He was with the PNC.
He was in our government.
He's come out to say you dealt unfairly with him.
He was in an MPP government led by President John Ajikum Kufuor. And he was jailed. And I cannot see why people commit offenses, then they are taken out of their ministries and brought to the presidency, as if the presidency is for rot. I mean, hey, recently there was this there was a sports program where the Kenyan head of Kenya's Olympic, there was Olympic Games, yes, in Brazil. He was hauled from Brazil straight and he was arrested at Nairobi airport. That's the kind of justice we are talking about. Fight against corruption. And then
also, is in court, you
see, come to think of it, MPP instituted many laws to fight corruption. Internal Audit Law, Public Procurement Act, and others. Tell me one single law that the NDC has passed to fight corruption.
They have amended the Public Procurement Act.
They have amended?
Yes.
Oh, okay. And what else?
I am not the NDC to be telling you these things. But so we'll definitely come back to you, Mr. Peter McBurney, because we need to find out how your campaign is going. Yes, you said the campaign is going on well, but there are many who have questioned the NPP's new style of campaigning. They've asked, why is the NPP adopting this approach to campaigning? Is it a case of lack of funds? Stay with us. We'll be right back after the break to delve into these issues on Hot Issues with me, Winston Amoah. Welcome back from the break, and thanks for staying with us. This is Hot Issues on TV3 with me, Winston Amoah. So, Mr. McBurney, you're talking about, corruption and everything, but coming back to the NPP's campaign in itself, there are questions. Some have asked, the NPP is, engaged in this kind of more of a, door-to-door, house-to-house campaign. Why the change in your campaign strategy?
Well, I think I have told you earlier on that each campaign is different from the previous one. The heartbeat of any campaign is the voter. And the voter must be placed at the center of every campaign. So your ability to reach out to the voter is critical for you to send him your message, which will then touch his mind and heart for him to vote for you. So we believe that direct voter contact is the most appropriate way of sending your message to the voter. So our election 2016 is based on direct voter contact with a message that will touch his mind and heart for him to vote for you. And that's exactly what we are doing. We recognize that the voter is the heartbeat of the campaign. And we have to reach him directly, because through direct contact, the message is able to sink, and he is also able to get an opportunity to ask you questions, which then you are able to respond appropriately.
Is this a post-2012 realization?
Oh, like I said, every election is different. So,
yes, so I want to find out whether this is a post-2012 realization.
Well, you can call it that, but I'm saying that every election is unique. So this is a unique 2016 election.
Because there's those who say the party lacks funds and so has adopted this new strategy.
Well, you can say what you want about funds, but what I can tell you about funds in elections is that in 2000 elections, President Kufuor did not have that amount of resources, but his message and his hustings going across the country was able to reach out to the heart and mind of the voter. Equally, I do not think that in 2008, the NDC had that kind of money. And if we may go to other West African countries, the 2015 elections in Nigeria, Buhari could not have matched Jonathan with the kind of money. So the voter is the centerpiece of any election.
Okay.
And the voter is reached through a positive message of hope, which the NPP is giving, message of bringing back our economy and socio-economic activities back to life, because we are sinking as a country. The voter knows about that. But go there and interact with him. Give him an opportunity to ask you questions.
Okay.
And then let him appreciate that you will come and resolve and things will be better.
Now, since you are involved in elections, I want to understand something, and I believe many of us would want to understand something. It's an argument that has been going on, that when parties are in power, they prosecute a very wonderful campaign. When they are out of office, then the campaign seems to be taking more of a personal contact and all of that. Is it a case that, when parties are in office, they have extra funds that they could use in campaigning that opposition parties do not have. Sincerely, what's the situation?
Well, if you want to ask this question, then go back to the Electoral Commission, because there's the need to enact laws about campaign financing. I have been speaking about that at various fora. Our laws must have campaign finance, because this issue you raise about sending annual reports or annual accounts is not enough. But campaign financing laws and acts would be the best route to check excesses and abuse of incumbency and others. So we are as part of the journey. The journey, I told you right from the start of this discussion, that the democratic journey is a long one. You never finish. So this is an area in the journey that we have to come to.
But you agree there's abuse of incumbency whenever we get to the elections?
Well, it's because the laws are not adequate to check these excesses. So there's the need for all of us as Ghanaians to look at it. I mean, we have done laws like Transition Act. When we transited into power in 2001, NDC said there were a lot of excesses that was meted out to them. In 2009, when they came, we also said they meted out certain kind of excesses. So the IEA took it upon itself, brought political parties together to find a solution, and the solution is what led to the Transition Act, okay, where parties were given certain terms, how if you stay in a government bungalow, how long you should vacate after your government is out of power, and others. In the same way, we must understand as a people that our campaign finances are not in order, and there's the need to enact appropriate legislation to curb the excesses.
Now, let's get to your flag bearer. There are many who've questioned his strength. They say he's not well. You are with him. How is he?
I tell you, I have not been going with him from place to place in the campaign, but I went with him in Western Region, and I was amazed at the strength that the man has. We took off from Asankegwa, went to Aguna Memfi, went to Memfi East, Wasakopon, went to Bordie, went to Prestia, went to Huni Valley, went to Opon Valley, came to Bogoso, went to Takwa. By the time we got to Takwa, it was about 1:30 a.m. There were still some professionals who wanted to meet the man and listen to him. We have to sit down with them at Hilda Hotel in Takwa. We did that, and before I got to bed, it was about 3 a.m. The next morning, he was the guest speaker for an assembly of women in Apostolic Church, a huge gathering in Takwa. And before I could say jack from my bathroom to the man was already ready to take off. You think this man doesn't have the vigor and strength? You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. So, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is strong as far as I know.
But those who say that, after every major campaign round, he says he's traveling outside the country. And it's as though anytime he goes on a major campaign,
so he shouldn't travel.
He goes to seek medical treatment and then come back.
I don't know about that he goes to seek medical treatment. How often has he traveled outside? How often? How often?
You should be telling me.
So I'm telling you that the man is strong, active. And I'm sometimes surprised. I look at my age and I look at him and say, hey, this man, where does he get his strength from?
Because they say after Dr. Bamia's lecture on the economy, he traveled to the UK after. Just last week, he also traveled to the UK.
There are many other invitations that he cannot honor. Many invitations across the globe. He's a global icon. You understand? When you're talking about people who have brought democracy into this country, the fight for democracy and human rights, the man is on top of it. So he has a lot of invitations across the world. And he may choose to honor one or the other depending on the exigencies. So I ask for strength there. I know that he has it. He's strong.
Finally, would you consider a merger with any of the political parties?
Why not? A merger in a second round? Because now we have filed our nominations. If there is the need, why not? We will welcome it. We will welcome it.
You think the elections could go into a second round?
No, if you are running an election, you must look at all possibilities. So it's a possibility I will not run away from. Okay? And so it's a possibility that gives me room to welcome or cooperate with other political parties. It's a welcome thing that we will do at all times.
Mr. Peter McManu, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
We're very
Thank
grateful.
you. Thank you.
All right, so you heard from the campaign manager of the NPP, Mr. Peter McManu, telling us about the NPP's preparation for election 2016. I am Winston. I'm on behalf of the team. I say thank you so much for joining us on Hot Issue. But of course, you can make a date with me Monday on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7 from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. Have a lovely weekend.
Supported by 3FM 92.7 Accra.